it's more than just the football. Inclusion of women, standing for our right, in starting a movement for equality, but also human right, and our right as a human to practice our fundamental human right, which is right to play, study, and be active in the society as our brothers and the rest of the people were active in the society. They took the football, we call it magic ball, because the reason we call that magic ball, because it was bringing us joy and happiness. They took that ball from us and they had the knife, and violently they destroyed that football. Girl power is, for me, a give back to the community, a way to show that we as refugees and people of marginalized communities, we bring so much in the community.
So, Khalida, thank you very much for coming to Bilbao for this conference that we gave and today for the interview.
Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
First question that I want to ask you. My grandfather was really important in my life to me. He was born 20 minutes away from Bilbao. Tell me about your grandfather. I heard he was an important person for you as well.
Yeah, my grandfather was my hero, a role model, a teacher who taught me a lot about life, where he saw himself as a feminist, someone like who was very proud to be called a feminist. For him, everything was about equal treatment, equal right, and not gender, but how we together as a human being take part in the community and take responsibility using our privileges to empower our community and society. And that's the life examples and life education that he gave me, which I'm very proud of. Who I am today is because of my family and also many people who played a role in my life.
Mm-hmm. And when did soccer start in your life?
Football is my passion in so many ways. I do have a really strong connection, even though I'm retired, old and retired. But what I love about football is the love language, and that's what I felt back then in Afghanistan in a very young age, playing with the boys in the streets, where I found the joy and happiness, a sense of belonging through football. And that's how it changed to a passion and love. And for me, passion is not just love what you love, but it's what sets your soul on fire. And in my case, it was football.
Buenas, hacemos una mini pausa para agradecerte tu apoyo. Para nosotros es muy importante que si te gusta lo que hacemos te suscribas a nuestro canal de YouTube para que podamos seguir creando vídeos. Muchas gracias y seguimos con la entrevista.
And it was football for a while and then you had to leave your country.
Yeah, it started with passion, as I said, right? Joy, happiness, sense of belonging. But then the society started really, that's where kind of like when you become a teenager in a male-dominated country as a young girl, then everybody else is deciding for you where you belong to. And that's where the pressure came, and there was resistance against women being outside, or young girls like me who wanted to be loud and be out with the boys playing football. Where constantly I was told that I belong to the kitchen, I don't belong to a football pitch. And even the boys who were supporting me, my teammates were the boys, they were harassed, they were bullied for playing with me or allowing me to play football with them. So I didn't give up. I continued taking football to schools, and with my mom started campaign, started creating girls football team in school, and then it kind of continued to different schools, and we started having our first league, an official league, and then we really put so much pressure because of an amazing group of school teachers
Yeah.
Like my mother, young girls like myself came together and started a movement, and we really pushed boundaries and barriers to get recognition, and then the first Afghanistan women's national team was established. It was not just a kind of a one-off thing. We faced so many challenges. We were harassed.
It wasn't easy to
no, it
get
wasn't.
to that
Yeah,
point.
no, it
It's
wasn't.
Not like, well, we did this and did that.
No, we were harassed. We were abused. We were many times people were attacking us, attacking our team, warning us, physically attacking us. Street harassment was there. Many times we're told that we are bringing shame to the country, to the nation, to the culture. It's not our culture, and women belong to the kitchen. We should not play football. It's bringing embarrassment. And there was warnings, and even our families were so much under pressure because they were putting our families in a situation that they should not allow us to change the culture. For us, it was changing a culture. It was changing the mindset. It was bringing a new picture to the country, but through our movement, football. So that's way of my activism started, not knowing, even not like thinking, okay, I'm going to be an activist. Today I woke up and I want to be an activist. It didn't happen.
You just wanted to make sure that you could play football.
I was put in this situation that I had to act. I couldn't stay silent, right? And the first turning moment for me was, which I will never forget it, and it's still, I have the picture so clear that we were playing football with our girls team, where a group of men attacked our school, and we were only girls team, and we were doing nothing wrong. We were playing football and we were enjoying the game. And even, can you believe it, we didn't have a proper football goal. We had our bags as goalpost, and we didn't have a sports uniform. We were with a school uniform, and they took the football. We call it magic ball, because the reason we call that magic ball, because it was bringing us joy and happiness. They took that ball from us, and they had a knife, and violently they destroyed that football. And they were screaming, yelling at us, and they were physically attacking. And everybody, I could see how much fear they created. And I could see around my teammates how they were scared. And we were told that we should stop playing football. And it's against the honor of the country and the culture. That was a turning moment for me as a teenager. By that time I was a teenager. That it's the challenges in the society is serious than what we see. It's more than just a football. And for me, football was a strong tool to use it to stand for something greater off the pitch, and that is inclusion of women, standing for our right, in starting a movement for equality, but also human right, and our right as a human to practice our fundamental human right, which is right to play, study, and be active in the society as our brothers and the rest of the people were active in the society. But it came with a cost, and the cost was heavy. For me, playing football and as the movement that we started, and as a result, we had good achievements. The first women's national team was established, and we made a history. Our league was registered. We managed to get so many women and girls into football. We're talking about thousands and hundreds and thousands of girls and women joined football. And so for me, playing football was not just a mission, like I want to play football and I want to captain and I want to be one of the co-founding member of the first Afghanistan. I wanted to do beyond that, and that's my next act was to find a way in Afghanistan Football Federation.
And when do you think you were conscious about it? On moving from I want to play football to I have a purpose, which is far more than football?
When we were attacked,
Mm-hmm.
it was then it changed. It changed from the whole passion thing, right? It changed from I want to have fun. I want to feel the freedom, because that's how I felt freedom as a girl growing up in a male-dominated country where I was constantly told where I belonged to and I should stay invisible, to a greater mission that was to be the voice for our sisters in Afghanistan, that they were suffering from domestic violence. Every day there was a news in the national TV, every day, constant news that women are killed. Honor killing was very known in Afghanistan. Women were stoned, women are killed, or there was also forced marriages and child marriages. So there were so many issues, especially women were facing, and women were victims. And I was like, what can I do? And football became that purpose for me, a mission to stand strong and to be the voice. And that's how for me, even playing, having time to play on the pitch or not, it wasn't anymore the thing for me. I wanted to take it to a greater purpose, and even really fighting for a job to enter the Afghanistan Football Federation, that in their history they never had a woman employee in any level in the federation before, in their history before me. And my main goal was that I need to get the voices of women in decision making. I want my voice in the table, and I want a seat in the table where they're deciding for us. And we want to change, and we want the change in our situation. So it was toughest one, because even people didn't see working for women in a football federation a proper thing. So I wouldn't be kind of like vocal about it, going to, for example, my families or relatives that I'm working in Afghanistan Football Federation, I got a job, because it seems as something embarrassment, like what really? But for me it was important. I didn't care about what people were thinking. For me it was like what we really want and the change we want.
Right.
And that history was made, and I got the job in Afghanistan Football Federation after a really long battle. And the reason I got the job, it's funny that people will still, and the reason I'm saying this is because it didn't come as like easy as the way I'm saying it. The first position I got in Afghanistan Football Federation was as a finance officer.
Oh, really?
And the reason I got that job was the Afghanistan Football Federation was so tired of having all this men working that position where they ended in corruption, stole the money and run away. The president of Afghanistan Football Federation, which is quite funny, he came with this idea that we are going to have a young woman who will not have the courage to end up in corruption, to steal the money and run away. So that is how we saved the money of Afghanistan Football Federation.
Well, he had a good idea.
And I was like, yes, I don't care. I don't care what's actually the idea behind it. I want a way in Afghanistan Football Federation. That was a way to get in. And then I ended up as one of the board of directors, and then also the head of Afghanistan Women's Football Federation. And I led women's football there, and that's how the growth from the grassroots level to elite level started, and the whole movement started. Many women joined. I was the one entered the Afghanistan Football Federation, but when I left, more than 10 women were working in Afghanistan Football Federation, got coaching license, refereeing license, and scholarships through football, which also shows how much football actually can do beyond the pitch.
And when and why did you have to leave your country?
The more that I was getting the attention and I was speaking up against all the challenges that women were facing in a very young age, I'm talking about I was 20 on my 20s. And for a country that were like right after the Taliban, the first time that they took over the country, and for 8 years the women were in the country were not allowed to go out without being fully covered.
Yeah.
People were punished, were killed for just watching TV or listening to music. So 8 years of like darkness in the country, and then when the NATO and international allies entered Afghanistan, so it was very beginning of the development in our country. So people were still, the culture was not ready to see young women sitting there and talking about women's rights, about child marriage, about women should have the right to play sports, and talking about football, which is very, it's our first game in Afghanistan, is still seen as man's game, and it's still something that they feel very sensitive when it comes to football. It's just man's game, and women should not be even near to that game. So talking so much about these topics, it was a warning for a man in a household to see their daughters watching me, listening to me. It was threatening for them, and talking about corruption and how corruption is affecting life of women and inclusion of women in the society. And I was calling the name of people in leadership that was involved in corruption, which was so dangerous. Of course, it was brave for me, for a young girl, to actually sit there in national TV and have this conversation where many people were not there to have these conversations. I was speaking how it's affecting our lives. And that's where the more I was speaking up, the more I was losing freedom. I was not able to even go out of home without having security people around me or someone who could stay with me. I was not allowed or able to be in public places because I was constantly receiving phone calls, messages, death threats, until it was so dangerous for me because there was several attempts and attacks that I'm so grateful, and I think I'm lucky I survived and they didn't manage to shoot me.
Because you had a purpose that you are carrying.
Yeah, my purpose saved me, and it became quite dangerous because the rumors started that I am promoting a non-Islamic and non-religious culture in Islamic culture, which is quite sensitive in a country and a culture that is very strict when it comes to religion. And that's where it started being very dangerous. And my family was so much under pressure and attacked. They faced several challenges separately, my family members, until the time that it was way too dangerous for me to stay. So for me to survive and stay alive and save my voice, I had to leave Afghanistan with my backpack as a journey for a refugee. Like so many refugees, no choices. Sometimes when we talk about refugees, it's like when you don't have a choice, you become a refugee. And this is what I was thinking today I was walking down here. It's not about having choice. You don't have a choice. That's why the only way you have is become a refugee.
Yeah.
And it's a human act. And that's how my journey as a refugee started in Europe.
And you have started a foundation in Denmark. Tell me about it.
I lived in different refugee centers in Denmark, and also I was for a bit in Sweden, in Norway. Lived in refugee centers and experienced the whole system, how traumatizing it is, but how isolating it is, because it's taking the potential from people because you're waiting for unknown. You're already traumatized what happened in your country, what happened in your life, all the losses, and then you end up in the middle of nowhere. Still, I'm grateful that, of course, when in comparison to so many other refugee camps around the world, Denmark and Norway was much better.
Right.
But it doesn't mean like it's as perfect, right, for any human being, right? And so waiting for unknown, the trauma that you experience in the refugee center, and the energy down there, because everybody is going through the same, so it's so much heavy energy. For me, I was going through depression. That was first time I felt a deep depression where I was thinking and doubting about everything in life, and about even questioning my being in the world. And once again, what helped me to overcome that trauma was sport, the power of sport that saved me in Afghanistan and saved me in refugee centers. When one of the experiences I had was one of the women in front of me tried to suicide in refugee center, and I was trying to help her, but she was going through trauma and depression of losses. And I started, the only thing I had was my power, and the power was sport.
Yeah.
And I said, what we can do is we can start training together to overcome that, and to kind of think. In Afghanistan, it was freedom. In the refugees centers, football become a way to escape from stress and depression, and kind of heal together. And that was a way for healing for us. But when I got permission to stay in Denmark, I continued the idea and the kind of work that I was doing in the refugee centers. I was coaching. I started a Girl Power organization. Girl Power is, for me, a give back to the community, a way to show that we as refugees and people of marginalized communities, we bring so much in the community with our resources, our experiences, life experiences, what we have in countries like Afghanistan. We survived, we did great work with very limited resources. Imagine if the right opportunities and right supports are given to people like us, what we can do. And we can do much better and much bigger stuff together in a new community if there is allowance and acceptance and opportunity for us. Because about refugees, it's a negative narrative already written before you arrive to that country. People already knows that you're coming there to take their jobs, to kind of destroy their country, to take the money, all these things.
Yeah.
And
but
you're
then again, yesterday they were in the conference. Some of the people that were talking Spanish, they were saying that in Spain there is a need for 1 million jobs today, and then we are not allowing people to come in while the population is getting really old, and we need jobs. Yeah,
which is unfortunate. Right, if you're, even the people who live in the refugee centers, they are not allowed to go and actually, instead of sitting in the refugee center, losing all the passion and everything that they have, and kind of get sick, mentally sick, they could actually go into work and actually work and support the society, the community. But they kind of destroy us in refugee centers for waiting for years and for months, and get crazy. And then at the same time, it's a narrative that we are taking the money. So that's what I wanted to do through Girl Power, is using sport and education. Education for me is leadership. It's about empowering women and girls from marginalized communities to support them to own their narrative, to own their stories, to take the leadership and to give back to the communities, to change the narrative to positive, that says that we can bring so much in the society, we can offer so much, and we have so much to offer. Allow us and let's work together. It's not us against them or them against us. Let's work together to make our societies where we are a beautiful and healthy, colorful. And also what we are trying to do is to create pathways to education, to sports, and especially in our case is football. Because what's happening right now, if you see women's football is fantastic. The women's football is on a rise. Yeah. It's amazing, we are cheering. But what else you can see is that it's becoming one color people's game. It doesn't mean the people from our community have no talent. They do have talent, but is it the right opportunities are given?
Yeah.
Why we don't have, like in a countries that have a population of immigrants, what's happening to them? Why they are not into even semi or elite level? What's going on? What are the barriers? That's why we are not talking about. The way it's just threatened that there is no talent. This is one colors people game.
Yeah.
And that's wasted resources, right? If you don't give the opportunity, maybe there is amazing talent, like Nadia Nadim is a great example, but it shouldn't be the first and shouldn't be the last.
No.
There are so many other examples, and that's what we are trying to do through a non-profit organization. We are trying to participate and do our best and to do our bit in the society. It started in Denmark. We have managed to grow the organization in Denmark. We have been in the communities in Denmark, worked together with football clubs. And then now we are active in Germany, in Greece, in the UK. We have traveled and delivered programs in Jordan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Mexico, and other countries around the world, to Nigeria. Supporting and connecting women together and creating opportunities that they exchange with each other and create a sisterhood community that women support women. That's what we are trying to do. But I continued also supporting while being a refugee, trying to struggle. I was struggling with the new identity. Owning the new identity as a refugee was a tough one, but I still continued to support the growth of women in Afghanistan, women's football in Afghanistan, supported the grassroots through my organization, all the way from Denmark, bringing resources back to Afghanistan, to the women of Afghanistan. But unfortunately, the country collapsed.
Yeah. And what do you think is the magic of sports or the values that sport bring to make people better? Because I truly believe that sport is a way of changing people into becoming a better person.
My life example is a great story. It's a great example, right? It helped me to take responsibility and ownership. It provided me the platform to make change. We have another example is how through GAPA we are supporting and empowering marginalized communities where it's life-changing for them. They are coming in a new society that they have nobody, and then they start connecting with others. It's a connector. It's a beautiful game, sport and in general, but when it comes to football, it has so much richness and resources that connects people. It's love language. You don't need to speak the same language. We can play together. We can have our own language without even speaking each other's language, and has shown and proven. There are so many great examples around the world. It's also life-saving. And some people will say, oh, come on, you're becoming so extreme now. But it's not dramatic. It's not extreme. Look, in the case of Afghanistan, 3.5 years ago, Afghanistan collapsed in the hand of Taliban, a terrorist group that came with a mission in Afghanistan to vanish women from the society. Our foundation of Afghanistan Women's National Team was built on activism, on standing for our right and calling mindsets like Taliban as our enemies, the enemy of women. When the country collapsed, their identities, the players' identities were out there. People could identify them easily. They had no protection. The enemy was outside the door. They were in a grave danger. how sport actually, how football and the network of football helped, which is a great example. All I was worried about when I was following the news about Afghanistan, being in Denmark, being a refugee, thinking, what can I do? How can I help? I'm helpless. I don't you need to have a plane to go get the girls out. You need to have so much money, so much resources. I have nothing of this. How can I save my sisters? And I was connected back with my purpose. My voice is my power. So my platform, I started writing in my platforms, social medias. I wrote to the network of football and I said, I need help to save my sisters. They are in a grave danger. It didn't take long. I had a group of people, working group from around the world, amazing, incredible people, from former footballers to Olympians. They joined the forces and the campaign. And through medias, we managed to reach to the governments, lobbied governments, connected with people around the world, and then we managed to save, I would say that players, athletes save themselves, but we managed to find a way to safety for the players. And as a result, the Afghanistan women's national team was evacuated with the support of Australian government in Australia. And now they are, as a whole squad, they are playing under a license of a Melbourne Victory Club, and they're playing football. They have found a new home and safe space for themselves. And the youth teams are evacuated to Europe and to the UK. It saved lives, and that's how the network works. There is so many elements in this game which is beautiful and strong. It can be life-changing.
Right. You are going to have to rush to the airport, but I have 3 questions that I normally make to the people that I interview. Quick, you can answer or not. You're free to decide. First one is, what would you like to be when you are old?
Gardener.
Gardener, that's great. What does happiness mean for you?
When I see other people achieving their best and their goals.
And do you think there is something after death?
There is a soul that will be alive.
Thank you very much for coming.
Much. Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
And best of luck
Thank you.
with girls.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.